Let's see if I can get up the... Do you think that they should borrow the money or they should take it out of their own bank account? Can you see this? I don't know if I can make this bigger. I guess I could if I took this up or no. Was it 28% bracket in your book?
Yes.
Okay. So, where am I? 4 minus 7. Okay. So the cost of borrowing is $355.29, correct? Over the 3 years. It's total interest. How much am I earning on my account? 5%. So I'm earning $225 a year. But I've got to pay tax on that. This looks a little different. Let me just, sorry. It's 6 of one, half dozen of another, but let's do the tax. How did you figure the tax? What times what?
225 times 20%.
28 was the number they gave you? Great. So how much was the tax for 1 year? $63. I took interest, principal, times rate, times time. 4,500 times 0.05 times 12/12. $225 a year of interest. But whenever I have earnings, I have to pay tax at my highest marginal tax bracket. I'm pretty high income if I'm in 28%. So I lose $63 of that, don't I? So how much am I left with each year? How much? One what? Go ahead. You guys, how much am I left with if I 225 minus my taxes?
116.
Thank you. And how many years is that for? 3. Right? So I'm taking the cost of borrowing minus the interest I'm giving up. If I borrow, am I better off or am I better off using my own money? Good, better off borrowing. It's a negative number again. Part 1 minus part 2. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just on that.
Okay.
So, for part 3,
Yeah.
this your line 1, this your total interest and, right?
Total interest.
Plus total cost. Plus, so your loan plus.
So part 1.
Or this.
Oh, yeah. That's interest earned, and then I have to pay tax on that.
So is it interest earned, or is it, so I did loan less interest. Is that?
All we're doing here, I think, Harrison, is comparing how much interest I have to pay if I borrow the money versus how much I'm giving up out of my own bank account.
So why are we doing 12/12 on the second one and 1/12 on the first one?
So on the first one, it's a monthly amortization schedule. My payments are monthly,
Oh, gotcha.
right? So whenever we make monthly payments, you got to divide by 12.
Yes, your principal goes down, still the interest goes down. That's why that number up there is lower than lower. That doesn't.
Exactly.
Perfect, thank you.
How much more complicated would it be if she didn't have like a steady balance and she like made it more compounded and added it for every month, even though she took the loan out, but she still had a
Gotcha.
balance?
You look at it.
I don't know that would impact it because we're really talking about that $4,500 of initial principal.
Yeah, that's a dot.
Okay. I'm going to post, let me just show you where this is posted. Both, both this sheet and the one for 13A, just add it this way, this is too complicated, is posted under your test review, and I've labeled them. The one we practiced in class today and the 13A are both posted. Okay. So lastly, just want to make sure you know where everything is. So this is all part of the review for number 2. I've got some extra practice problems with the answers for chapter 6. I've got some extra practice problems for chapter 7 for the answers. And then both of the ones we worked on today are there as well. Okay. The other big thing that we did was a bank reconciliation. Can you walk me through the steps? What 2 documents do you have in front of you to reconcile a bank account, a checking account, or a debit card account? What's one document? Your bank statement. What's your other document? Your checkbook ledger. What is your goal? Ruth, what's the goal of a checking account reconciliation? What are you trying to do? The bank says you have $836. Your checkbook says you have $1,093.
We're trying to make sure that the net balance is the same.
You're trying to get to the same number. You have to get to the same number.
What if it says that you have more in your account based on how much you actually spend? And are you legally obliged to go basically like prove that they gave you extra money?
What are we talking about? Sorry.
Like if you have a balance, like they say that you have a higher balance than what's in your checkbook, you obviously want that extra money, but like,
Okay.
I don't know how.
Let me address that. So Brody's question is, what if you've got your checking account balance in front of you? It says you've got $1,093, and the bank says you have $820. Can you just go to the bank and go, hey, my checking account says I have $1,093 in it, and I get that?
No, it's the other way around.
Or the other way around. Doesn't matter.
Well, is that
It's the goal of what you're trying to do is, my guess is you don't have either of those amounts. You're trying to reconcile them to some other number that's the same. But it's not going to be what either your checking account or your bank statement says. Why?
I guess that wasn't necessarily what I was asking.
Okay.
So like, let's say the bank says you have more money than you think you do. Obviously, you want that extra money, or you legally have to go tell them.
If you say you have more than the bank, or the bank says you have more
The
than
bank says that you have more than what your check.
that the odds are that you have done something wrong in your checkbook, and you want to reconcile it.
Okay.
That's the whole purpose of the piece of
I
paper.
was just asking, like, are you legally allowed to go do, like, you have to go do that?
I mean, you can go through all your transactions with them and try and come to a different balance, but 9 out of 9 times, it's going to be some other number that's not either of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep walking me through this. So you've got 2 pieces of paper. Okay, you guys, stick with us over here. So you've got 2 pieces of paper. You've got your checkbook ledger, and you've got your bank statement. And you have 2 different balances, and you enter those 2 different balances, right? What are some things that would throw off, that would make those 2 balances different? And how do you find them? And where do they go? Somebody start out. Tell me one thing that makes them different.
Have an outstanding check.
If you have outstanding checks. If you have an outstanding check, it's gone through what, but not what? Of the 2 documents. If you have an outstanding check, you've written it in your checkbook ledger, but it hasn't cleared the bank. Right? So that's one thing. What's another thing that could make them different? Fees. Bank fees. Late charge fees. Return check fees. Whatever. Who knows? That's gone through your what, but not your what. That's gone through your bank, but not your checkbook ledger. Good. There's one other big thing. That's like the fees. What about deposits in transit? I make a deposit the last day of the month, say the 29th, and the bank statement ends on the 30th, and it hasn't cleared the bank. So the deposit in transit's in my what, but not my what? It's in my ledger, but not my bank statement. That's the question you have to ask yourself. Because whatever Whoever knows about it and the other party doesn't know about it, that's the one you've got to adjust, the one that doesn't know about it.
Are you responsible for late fees if you pay a deposit, like for instance a credit card, on time, but it doesn't go through in the system for a couple days, and it's technically their fault?
No, you're not responsible for late fees, but I will tell you when you are responsible for late fees is if you put it in the mail, and I think they say allow 7 days. I've gotten dinged by that a couple times, back when we used to pay things with checks. And you don't allow 7 days in the post office, it gets lost in Muckaruck, Rhode Island. Bummer. Okay, let's just take a quick look at this. What chapter did we do that in? 6? No, 4, excuse me. So the exam's over 4, 6, and 7. You know that. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Blank reconciliation. Now, this guy, this is where the bank statement balance goes, right? And all the way down here, number 4, and you just follow the instructions. Here's where the ending balance in the checkbook goes. Note, your account is reconciled when the bank balance equals the checkbook. These two numbers have got to be the same. And it's all because the bank knows things you don't, or you've got things in your checkbook that the bank doesn't know about. So only 2 things that can make it different. Or somebody screwed up, and yeah, then you are probably pursuing some sort of recompense because somebody's wrong. Okay. What else?
So for the outstanding checks, it could be like multiple weeks that because it's up to another person who has a check that they just haven't used.
Yeah, like the little kids come next door and they're like, this is a great example of why you need a checkbook. I'm selling, fill in the blank, Girl Scout cookies or, Strikers soccer chocolate bars. And I'm like, all right, I don't even eat candy, but I'll take $30 worth. I write him a check, I give him to him, and it's outstanding for like 2 cycles.
Yeah, and you don't know until they deposit.
Well, I know because the first month I get my bank statement, I'm like, that $30 check I wrote the next door neighbor kiddo hasn't cleared. That's why my bank says I have $30 more than I think I do.
Right.
That's why you reconcile your check account.
But for a deposit that you make that hadn't got to the bank yet, that could only be like a number
A couple
of days.
couple days tops, 24, 48 hours. Good question. And then, let's see. Seems like I have one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, I just wanted to kind of tell you where the points are on the test. And to make sure that you understand it's the same as the last exam, you need to allocate your time. Okay. So, yeah, so you're going to have a test and then you're going to have the answer sheet like you did last time, and the answer sheet's going to have the extra stuff on it, just like last time. So there's 22 true and false. I would basically this is vocabulary, a few calculations. But we learned about lots of different kinds of loans. We learned about different kinds of credit cards. We learned about kinds of collateral. We learned about different kinds of cash accounts, right? Money markets, cash management accounts, what's FDIC insured, what's not FDIC insured, right? We did a bazillion interest calculations. That's true and false. Okay, 22 of those, 2 points each. Then 12 multiple choice worth 2 points each. And that is quick calculations like what we were just working on today. Do I buy something on credit or do I use my own money?
That's
Multiple choice. What's my debt safety ratio? What's simple interest on a compound loan? First question is how often do you compound it? Compounded monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually? some more basic vocabulary. We looked at the difference between liquid and illiquid assets. We looked at home equity loans, how to calculate that. We looked at what we were just talking about, terminology around bank reconciliations, different kinds of credit cards, and I think we did a comparison on credit cards, right? One's got a fee, one's got X amount of APR. You need to know how to compare credit cards. You need to know how to do the ADB. And then your big problems is what I've already told you. You're going to have to do a loan amortization schedule. You're going to have to do that debt to safety ratio analysis and make recommendations how to get the person back in balance. You're going to have to do a bank rec. I mean, there is enough material in here. I'm not going into some weird little point on some sidebar we've never looked at, okay? So, but with that said, it's not particularly easy content. So spend time. Redo the work, right? All of the solutions to all of the problems, the back of the 3 chapters are open. So if you feel like you need more work, go do it. Okay.
I have no last session for the class.
Okay.